The doorbell pierced the silence of my empty apartment like a knife through flesh, sharp and unrelenting. I froze mid-sip of my lukewarm coffee, the bitter taste turning sour in my mouth as the chime echoed again, insistent, demanding. It was a Tuesday evening in late autumn, the kind where the rain-slicked streets of Seattle gleamed under sodium lights, and the chill seeped through the cracks in my old Victorian building. I wasn't expecting anyone. No one came by anymore. Not since the divorce papers had been signed 2 years ago, leaving me with echoes and regrets. I set the mug down on the scarred wooden table, my hands trembling slightly, not from fear, but from the exhaustion of another day spent piecing together a life that felt like shattered glass. Padding to the door in my socks, I peered through the peephole. There she stood, Martha, my ex-mother-in-law, her face twisted in a mask of fury I'd only seen once before, at David's funeral. No, wait, our wedding? No, it was the day I told her we couldn't have kids. Her silver hair was disheveled, rain dripping from her coat onto my doormat. She pounded now, her fist like a gavel. Elena, open this door. I know you're in there. My heart slammed against my ribs. What the hell? I hadn't spoken to her since the split, when she'd sided with David, calling me Baron behind my back. I cracked the door, chain still latched. Martha, what are you doing here? Her eyes, red-rimmed and wild, bored into mine. Don't play games with me, you vindictive bitch. Where are they? Where are my grandchildren? The words hit like a slap, hot and stinging. Grandchildren. I blinked, the chain rattling as I gripped the door. What are you talking about? David and I never had children. You know that. She shoved a crumpled photo into the gap, her nails scraping the wood. Liar. Look at them. Those are my blood, and you're hiding them to spite us. I snatched the photo, unchaining the door in a daze. There, in faded color, were 2 toddlers, a boy and a girl maybe 3 years old, laughing in a park. The girl had my curly auburn hair, my green eyes flecked with gold. The boy. God, he had David's dimpled chin, but my freckles dusted his nose. My stomach lurched, bile rising. This couldn't be real. We'd tried for years. Fertility clinics, injections that left bruises like badges of failure, the endless cycle of hope and heartbreak. David had left me because of it, or so he said, running off with his secretary, some perky blonde named Lisa. No kids. Ever. These aren't mine, I whispered, but my voice cracked. The resemblance was uncanny, a mirror to the child I'd imagined in my dreams. Martha snatched the photo back, her lips curling. Of course they are. David told us everything before he died. The embryos, you froze them during IVF. He used them with Lisa after you left him barren and broken. Those are our grandkids, Elena. Family. And you're keeping them from us because you're jealous, aren't you? Always were. David died. The room spun. I hadn't heard. He'd cut me off completely after the divorce. A car accident, she spat later. But in that moment, her words burrowed into me like thorns. Embryos. We'd created 6 during our last round of IVF, but only 2 were viable. The clinic said they'd been discarded after the failed implantations. Discarded. But David. He'd stolen them. Given them to his mistress. Rage ignited in my chest, a slow burn that spread like wildfire through dry grass. Get out, I hissed, slamming the door in her face. She shouted through the wood, threats of lawyers and custody, but I slid down against it. The photo's image burned into my mind. Humiliation washed over me. Hot tears stinging as I pictured David and Lisa, laughing over my stolen future. My eggs, my DNA birthed by another woman. I was a mother without knowing, without holding them. Heartbreak clawed at my throat. I'd mourned our childless marriage alone, while he built a family on my ruins. That night sleep evaded me. The apartment's shadows danced mockingly on the walls, the distant hum of traffic a constant reminder of the world moving on without me. I paced the creaky floors, my bare feet cold on the hardwood, replaying every moment of our marriage. David's late nights at work. His sudden interest in the clinic's paperwork. Had he planned this? Resentment festered, a poison seeping into my veins. I imagined confronting him, but he was gone. Dead in a crash 6 months ago, Martha had yelled through the door. Convenient. Guilt flickered. Was I glad? No, that was monstrous. But the obsession took root. Those children were mine, too. Stolen. By dawn, denial cracked. I dug out old clinic files from a dusty box in the closet. The paper yellowed and crisp under my fingers. There was the consent form for embryo disposal. David's signature forged. No, mine was real, but his, smudged. Doubt gnawed at me. I called the clinic, my voice steady despite the tremor in my hands. Records show the embryos were transferred to another party with mutual consent, the receptionist said coolly. Mutual. Ways. Fury propelled me. I drove to Martha's house that afternoon, the rain pounding the windshield like accusations. The upscale neighborhood loomed, manicured lawns, iron gates, a far cry from my rundown apartment. I parked crookedly, heart pounding as I marched up the stone path, mud splattering my jeans. The door opened before I knocked. Martha's husband, Gerald, stood there, his face a thundercloud. You have no right, he growled, blocking the entry. His voice was gravelly, laced with the scotch I smelled on his breath. I have every right, I shot back, my words sharp as glass. Those embryos were mine. David stole them. He laughed, a bitter bark. Stole. He saved them from your failure. Lisa gave him what you couldn't, a family. The kids are with her now, happy. Stay away, or we'll make sure you regret it. The threat hung in the air, thick as the fog rolling in from the bay. I saw red, but suppressed it, forcing a nod. Fine. But tell me, did you know? All along. His eyes flickered a tell. David was our son. We'd do anything for him. Betrayal deepened, a chasm opening inside me. The family I'd once loved, who'd hosted holidays with warm turkey and laughter, had conspired against me. As I drove away, rain blurring the road, fantasies swirled, exposing them, taking the kids, ruining their perfect lives. But doubt crept in. What if the children were better off? Moral conflict tore at me. Revenge felt justified, yet poisonous. I couldn't let it consume me. Or could I? Over the next weeks, suspense built in quiet layers. I hired a private investigator, a grizzled man named Reyes with the office that reeked of stale coffee and cigarettes. Dig deep, I told him, sliding over a check that drained my savings. He nodded, his eyes sharp. Family secrets are like onions. Peel one layer, find rot. Reports trickled in. Lisa lived in a suburb, the kids, named after David's parents, a slap, enrolled in private preschool. Photos showed them playing innocent. Heartbreak surged. They were beautiful, pieces of me I'd never hold. But then the bombshell. Emails from David to his parents, intercepted somehow. Elena's eggs are prime. Lisa's ready. Clinic doc owes me a favor, transfer set. He'd bribed someone. Planned it while we were still married. Obsession gripped me. I stalked their social media from a burner account, the glow of my laptop screen illuminating my darkened room night after night. Lisa's posts. Family picnics, birthday cakes. Each one fueled resentment, a slow simmer. I imagined her pain if it all crumbled. Guilt whispered, those kids didn't deserve this. But cold resolve hardened. They'd taken my future. Take theirs. One evening Reyes called. Found something big. Meet me. The cafe was dim, steam from espresso machines clouding the windows. He slid a folder across the table, his face grim. The family trust. David's parents set it up for grandchildren. Millions. But the will specifies biological descendants of David and his spouse. Me. Not Lisa. The revelation hit like lightning. Those kids were mine legally. No embryos transferred without consent. But the trust. If I proved paternity, maternity, I could claim it. Or destroy it. Tension coiled tighter. I planned in whispers to myself, pacing my apartment, the floorboards creaking like warnings. Fear nagged. What if I lost? became the villain. But anger drowned it. Revenge wasn't just emotional, it was financial, poetic. I confronted Lisa next, heart racing as I knocked on her door. She opened it, blonde hair perfect, eyes widening. "You?" "Me," I said, voice steady. "The woman whose children you stole." She paled, glancing behind her where toys littered the floor. "David said you agreed. Signed off." "Lies." Suppressed rage bubbled. "But I'm not here to fight. Yet." She slammed the door, but not before I saw the fear. The slow burn ignited. As winter gripped Seattle, frost etching patterns on my windows like fragile veins, my resolve crystallized. The apartment felt smaller, walls closing in with the weight of secrets. I'd lie awake, the distant wail of sirens mirroring the chaos in my mind. Guilt clawed deeper now. Those children, innocent in their laughter, didn't ask for this war. But neither had I. Betrayal had birthed this monster in me. And obsession fed it. I fantasized justice, exposing the fraud, watching Martha's empire crumble. Doubt flickered. What if revenge tainted me forever? Moral conflict raged, a storm within, but I pushed forward, step by calculated step. Reyes became my shadow ally. We met in parked cars, rain drumming on the roof like impatient fingers. "The clinic doc, Dr. Harlan. He's the key," Reyes said, lighting a cigarette, the flame briefly illuminating his scarred face. "Bribed by David. Got records. Forged signatures. Proof." My voice was a whisper, pulse thundering. He nodded. "Enough for a lawsuit. But careful, the family's connected. Gerald's a retired judge. They'll fight dirty." Fear spiked, cold sweat trickling down my back. I imagined threats, break-ins. But resentment overpowered it. "Then we fight dirtier." Planning consumed me. I quit my job as a graphic designer. The office's fluorescent hum too distracting. Days blurred into research. Legal precedents on embryo theft, trust loopholes. Nights, I drafted letters, my fingers flying over the keyboard. The click-clack, a rhythm of retribution. Inner thoughts warred, "This is right, they deserve it." "No, you're becoming like them." "Shut up. Push on." Subtle hints of my vengeance emerged. Anonymous tips to the press. Fertility fraud in elite family? Whispers in online forums. Martha called once, her voice quivering through the phone. "Stop this, Elena. You'll destroy innocence." "Innocence?" I laughed, bitter. "Like you destroyed me." She hung up, but I heard the crack in her armor. Tension built, a taut wire ready to snap. Lisa reached out next, a coffee shop meetup she begged for. The place smelled of cinnamon and regret. Holiday lights twinkling mockingly. She sat across from me, hands wringing a napkin to shreds. "Please. The kids. They don't know. David told me it was consensual." Consensual. Humiliation surged anew. He cheated while I injected hormones that made me sick. Stole my future. Tears welled in her eyes. "I loved him. He said you were done." Manipulation gleamed in her words, suppressed rage in mine. "And the trust. Millions for our grandkids. You knew." She flinched. "Gerald promised it'd go to them." Hidden motives unveiled. Greed bound them all. I left, resolve stealing. No mercy. The lawsuit launched quietly. Papers served on a stormy morning. Gerald's face when he opened the door. Priceless, a mix of shock and fury. "You'll regret this," he snarled, crumpling the summons. "Already do," I replied, rain soaking me. "Regret trusting your son." Court dates loomed, suspense thickening like fog. I testified, voice steady despite the knot in my gut. "They violated me. Stole my genetic material." The judge's eyes softened, but the family's lawyer attacked. Ms. Vasquez abandoned the marriage. No claim. Lies twisted like knives. Heartbreak resurfaced in dreams. Holding phantom babies, waking to emptiness. Obsession peaked. I hacked minor accounts, a friend's help, morally gray. Leaking emails. Public outrage brewed. Headlines screaming embryo heist. Martha broke first. She appeared at my door one night, frail under the porch light, wind howling. "Elena, please. Drop it. The kids. They're suffering." Media hounds them. Guilt stab. "You're doing. You knew. A sub. David begged us. Said you were unstable. We wanted grandkids so badly." Layered truth. Her love for family blinded her. But my pain. Ignored. Too late. The climax built in the courtroom. Air thick with tension. Wooden benches creaking under shifting bodies. Evidence mounted. Forged docs, bribes traced. Dr. Harlan cracked on the stand, sweat beading. "David paid me." Said his wife consented. Perjury charges loomed. Gerald glared from the gallery. Martha weeping beside him. Then the twist, my lawyer dropped a bomb. DNA tests. Secretly obtained via Reyes. The kids weren't just mine and David's. Lisa's eggs. No, all mine. David had used only my embryos, implanting in Lisa. But wait, Reyes's final report. David was sterile. Always had been. The sperm. Donated anonymously by Gerald. Whoa. The file revealed. David discovered his infertility early, hid it. Used a donor but told no one. The kids weren't his blood at all. Poetic justice crashed down. The trust, for David's biological descendants, void. Millions evaporated. Martha collapsed in court, Gerald's face ashen. Lisa fled with the kids, but custody battles loomed. I didn't want them, just truth. In the aftermath, I stood outside the courthouse, rain cleansing the air. Victory tasted bittersweet. Revenge delivered, but at what cost? The kids uprooted. Me hollowed by obsession. Yet, as I walked away, a cold resolve lingered. Betrayal birthed monsters, but sometimes they brought justice. Unexpected consequences. A letter arrived weeks later. From the kids' new guardian, Lisa's sister. They ask about their other mom. Want to meet. Heartbreak thawed. Perhaps redemption awaited. Or another layer of pain. The story wasn't over. But for now, the fury quieted, leaving echoes of what might have been.